price. You can get it for $24,180. It's a beautiful vehicle, a good quality, economical vehicle. And you'll be glad that you went up there and took this Buick Encore for a quick spin. Really, really nice. You're going to love it. It's awesome. And it's deals like that that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers. That's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. Take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, let's welcome in Tyler Watts of the Alabama radio broadcast team. He was inside Jordan-Hare Stadium for the Iron Bowl on Saturday night. What did you just make of the offense's performance in general against Auburn in this Iron Bowl?
It's always frustrating when you go up 17-0 and you can't find a way to put a team away. But then again, man, I just don't think we give enough credit to Auburn's defense of some of the problems that they can create. You know, all night long, they were basically saying, hey, here's 5 guys in the box. Try to run it. We don't think you can. And fortunately for Alabama, we were able to rack up over 150 yards by staying committed to that. They were tough yardage because that is a good defensive front that presents a lot of problems, but they were not going to give up the home run plays. And so it was just a game like every other game down there where you just got to grind it out. And if one thing is for sure with this Alabama offense, man, they come clutch in one possession games. And that's kind of been, in my opinion, the only difference between these two programs all season long is Auburn has not found ways to win the one possession game, and Alabama has.
It's amazing to me. It's how clutch they are. It's like I was watching with family and friends, and there was a certain level of panic kind of in the room at all times. I was completely fine. Like I felt like they were fine, perfectly in control. They're going to make a play on defense. They're going to be able to execute offensively back against the wall. There was never a point in which now the offense fell a little out of rhythm, of course, and they're in the third quarter and stuff, but I still remain very, very optimistic because this team has proven it time and time again to make that key play when they absolutely have to have it. So what do you attribute that to?
Sometimes just the DNA of a football team of just not panicking. And, you know, I even said it before the broadcast, there won't be but 22 people in this entire stadium who are calm and collective throughout the course of this game. And that's those players out there on the field. Everybody else is a nervous wreck. But they're just focused in on what their job is, understanding that it's a long game and plays going to go for you. They're going to go against you. You just have to find a way to focus in on the next play. And that is something that Alabama, this offensive unit has done so well all season long, regardless of the situation, of just not worrying about momentum or anything else and just focusing on the next play. And Coach DeBoer always talks about stacking plays on plays. And as you mentioned, they're in the fourth quarter going on that 7+ minute drive with the ball game tied, converting a couple of fourth down conversions, going for some home run shots on 3rd and short when everybody else is panicking about just trying to pick up a first down. And, you know, that kind of think they kind of knew, hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it because we have that much confidence in what our defense is doing. And I think that's one thing throughout the course of this season that I hadn't talked about enough and that hadn't gotten enough credit is this defense is so solid in making you earn everything. They had a couple of busts on some scrambles. And I think a lot of that had to do with Ashton Daniels buying time and really giving themselves an opportunity to make some plays. But they are always going to allow you to be aggressive on the offensive side because you have so much confidence in their ability to force field goals, not give up big plays, and then ultimately create some turnovers, which they were able to do.
Tyler Watts with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He was inside Jordan-Hare Stadium Saturday night on the radio call with Chris Stewart, Corey Reamer for Alabama at Auburn. Did you have an idea what was going on with Brailsford during the game? I know he was held out against Mercer, and he came back in and didn't seem super gimpy, but he was kind of in and out late in that game. I didn't hear anything about it on the broadcast, but what is his kind of status, and what is the status that you knew about with Cuevas going in and maybe coming out of this game for the SEC championship game? I thought he was greatly missed, by the way.
Yeah, he was. I would agree with that. I think, you know, sometimes you don't really understand what you're losing until it ain't out there on the field. But Parker's been, you know, kind of battling an injury, and he tried to persevere through it and fought throughout the course of the game. But there was a couple instances where he kind of got dinged up and have to come over and get a little help, get a little rest, walk it off. And I thought Gino Vandermark, though, substituting in there at the center position, did a really nice job. And this one time where Parker had to run out on a second or third down, and Gino came in and pulled around to the left side and sprung, I think, Jeremy Bernard on a long run around the edge, and did a heck of a job pushing the pile a couple other times. So, all these players playing different positions throughout the course of the game, or the season rather, has really paid dividends down the stretch, because when you start getting beat up, knowing that you can rely on your backup to go in there and make plays really is beneficial. And I thought that definitely helped Alabama's success on the offensive front.
It's Jam Miller. It feels like, poor guy, every time he starts to look a little better, he gets banged up again. Of course, I think the last image we saw of him, if I remember correctly, whether or not he's going to be available.
I don't know. He got rolled up on pretty good by a backside tackler that pinched down a little inside. He's trying to make a couple of breaks, but A.K. Deere came in and gave a couple of meaningful snaps and picked up a couple of yardage. But I think the real big difference in this one also was Todd Simpson and his ability to scramble and pull the ball down and pick up some extra yardage as well. That's one thing that'll keep the defense honest more than anything, because I would imagine Georgia probably feels pretty comfortable and confident in being able to stop Alabama's running attack. But when you start adding that quarterback run in there, that kind of changes things.
So what do you look at now heading into this rematch with Georgia that maybe this team was or was not doing first time around that has to be corrected or continued maybe even further so than what you saw last time to be able to win an SEC championship?
Well, similar to the Auburn game, if you can find 100 to 150 yards rushing versus Georgia, I think that makes you much more balanced and puts a whole lot more strain on their defensive unit. You're hopeful that you'll be healthy enough to be able to make that happen and be creative enough. I like this matchup. I think that most people do. I think we stack up well against Georgia. It'll be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But I think all these teams are right there together, and it's just a matter of who plays best on that day. But we definitely need the passing game, the protection to be solid up front. Ty Simpson's a completely different quarterback when he's having to backpedal, buy himself time, and throw the football around, as opposed to standing in the pocket clean, being able to survey the field and push the ball downfield. Something Auburn really did not allow him to do all evening long. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game. But everybody's beat up. You're just trying to find answers. But hey, it's you find that third and fourth win at this time of the season, especially when you're have an opportunity to play for a championship.
Tyler, always great stuff, man. Appreciate you hopping on with us on Mondays, and look forward to having you back to recap the SEC championship game.
Hey, I appreciate it, and I can't believe we went an entire segment without talking about Bray Hubbard. I mean, boys battling a little under the weather, and he goes out there and causes an interception, forces that fumble at the end of the year. I really cannot say how impressed I am with the tenacity of this defense of just playing as many players as they do. You need that depth, and they just flat get after it, and that ended up being the difference in the ball game. And if Alabama's going to be successful this Saturday, it's going to be on the backs of this defense.
He's been great for a month now, and we've talked about it. And there was such a bad taste in people's mouth after the first game, and he's just gotten better and better each week. So, yeah, we would agree. He's been fantastic for that group.
I hear you. Y'all have a great week. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Tyler. Tyler Watts joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline every week to discuss Alabama. Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC championship game. Championship Saturday is set. We'll run through that slate and go back through rivalry weekend. It was a wild weekend. Some fun games, crazy games, controversial games. We'll try to get through all those for you. First, I'll tell you about our friends at Train. Don't get caught in the cold. Schedule your system checkup now from a Train comfort specialist. Train has been recognized 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. Visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you. What will Championship Saturday dictate as far as the playoffs are concerned? We'll discuss that and more next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:15 right here on Jocks. We're going to go through Championship Saturday here in just a moment. Greg going to be on the ACC Championship game this weekend. But before we get to Championship Saturday, we have to go through Rivalry weekend. And a couple quick thoughts on the games that we got, what they meant, what they saw, or what we saw, and how they went down. First, remember, there's a reason Auburn Athletics hand-selected Andrew Sports Medicine's Dr. Benton Immelman and Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality sports medicine care in an effort to keep the Tiger student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrew Sports Medicine is a choice for Auburn Athletics, there's no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrew Sports Medicine has 7 locations across Central Alabama, Birmingham, Coleman, Garndale, Hoover, Pelham, and Trustville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit AndrewSportsMedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. All right, Greg, let's try to run through some of these quickly. from over the weekend. It started on Friday, really just a massive day. First off, Indiana Purdue, goodness gracious, like Indiana's just not slowing down. Fernando Mendoza just out of control again. I'm struggling to find a lot of holes in this Indiana football team. The offense didn't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I mean they go up big in the second quarter and just stay on cruise control. Sets up a massive game in the Big Ten title game that we'll have plenty of time to discuss. But man, Indiana's just rolling.
They're legit, dude. I mean, you can say what you want about them. Purdue's not good. No one's trying to claim that they are. But Indiana's the real deal, man. Like, I think they're going to give Ohio State all they want this weekend. Maybe I'm crazy. But you told me right now, like, I'm kind of leaning just ever so slightly towards Indiana at the moment. As crazy as that feels.
Just a massive matchup. Massive. Utah took out Kansas 31-21 in a bit of an upset. Arizona knocks off Arizona State 23-7. So Arizona gets to 9-3. Arizona State will finish 8-4. In the SEC Egg Bowl, Ole Miss Mississippi State 38-19. Ole Miss gets the win. Trinidad Chambliss great, and kind of exactly what we talked about on Friday morning. He hit that cold spell. I don't know if it was like right before the half, right after the half, like right in the middle of the game. He had just like missed a couple of easy throws, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, hold on, offense slowing down. But then run after catch was big. Kewan Lacey, massive again, getting north and south. Mississippi State, I'll tell you this. I know the numbers weren't super wow, but like Kamario Taylor did some really nice things. Like the poise, the ability to get it out, up the arm angles. Now he ran for 173 yards, which is nice. But I think Ole Miss fans have to feel pretty good about the future at quarterback. Or Mississippi State fans feel pretty good about the future at quarterback.
I thought there were some good things in there. I didn't think it was perfect.
No.
But I thought it was pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I really did.
But Chambliss bounces back from a little bit of a mid-game slump and has a really nice performance. 359 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air for Ole Miss. They get the win. They're 11-1. First 11-win regular season in program history. Clean old-fashioned hate. A little confusing with people who are talking about the Georgia plan being conservative here, because I didn't really see it that way. Now, you're going to look at the box score and say, whoa, 70 yards passing, 190 yards rushing, like they must have just handed the ball off the whole game. Gunnar Stockton had a really tough time with zone coverage in this game. He missed some things. He made some questionable throws. I'd be feeling pretty good about that part if I was Kane Womack, based on how his secondary operates at times, Greg. Now, you got to be a little careful with some of your movement up front defensively, and I think you need to calm things down just a little bit because Georgia can run the ball. But this was one of the first times since early in the season that we've seen Gunnar Stockton look a little bit more human at quarterback.
Well, I think that, look, this was a Super Bowl type game for Georgia Tech. Like, you were going to get their best shot. And I actually thought that I didn't think it was necessarily conservative, but I didn't feel like we saw all the bells and whistles that we have seen from time to time with Georgia this year. There weren't as many catch and runs. They tried to attack some of the middle stuff. Some of the zone pressures gave them a couple fits. I thought they didn't really try often to stretch the field as much as you would anticipate. So I thought it was a good defensive plan from Georgia Tech in bouncing back. But I also think that some early adversity, they could never really shake it. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like he was kind of seeing some ghosts throughout the game. It was the first time I'd seen him kind of see some ghosts and not really bounce back off of it.
Well, and two, you faced a lighter box a lot of the game and could not get a consistent run game going. Like, it just wasn't there. They weren't going to find it. And I thought Georgia did some good things in coverage. They had some good pass rush wins, which they have not consistently had this year. So you give them credit for that one. Georgia gets a win. They're 11-1. They'll play Alabama in the SEC championship game. Georgia Tech finishes the regular season 9-3. Still a really good year for Georgia Tech. And then your game. Wow. First off, that place had to be just bonkers. Describe the environment for us, first and foremost.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was super fun. I mean, there's not often when you're in a booth, and you know this, like, you've done these games before. You're in a booth and you're like, golly, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, this is so cool. Like, it was just going absolutely bananas. I mean, there had to have been 7 or 8 times in the game where I just told the truck, like, it's you guys, you got it. Like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, just go. Like, y'all got it. Give me some sights and sounds, because it was going absolutely, especially in the second half, it was going insane.
It felt that way on TV watching it. And then obviously being in Austin with what Texas was able to do. And I'm going to show this tonight, but there are 2 things that stuck out to me in this game. 2 primary things that were the difference in this game. Well, technically 3. One of them we have talked about all year. 2 of them we've talked about all year. One with A&M, one with Texas. The 2 things with Texas, Greg. One, the one thing we've been consistent on this show with Texas all season, and you can go back to, I think it was week 3, maybe week 4, week 3 versus UTEP. And I came on here Monday and I told you guys, go watch the tape. UTEP just put on the best individual tackling performance I've seen so far this season. And I'm going to tell you this, it still might be there. Because the amount of one-on-one, and I told Roman about it, and I remember he walked in studio, because I told him about it Sunday night. He walked in studio that Monday. He goes, bro, you were right. He goes, those UTEP kids made one-on-one tackles all day, like on the perimeter all day long. Well, what did A&M not do? Tackle Texas ball carriers one-on-one. And I thought Sark did a great job getting wiser to the football. They rode the run game. They did a good job switching the gap scheme in the second half, which I thought was smart because they knew they weren't getting legitimate movement, even though it's kind of a flatter zone scheme that they run. I think that helped and that worked out because some of the A&M kids were getting on different levels. That was number 1. Number 2, Greg, Arch Manning avoiding catastrophe, to me, was the difference in this game. Because you could have added up about 90 yards in losses that he turned into positive gains, first downs, and touchdowns. Him being able to elude, now some of it was by design. I will say that. Like, some of them were designed quarterback runs, and that's okay. It's fine. But still, him being able to avoid the rush and turn big potential negatives into net positives, honestly, Greg, I thought that was a difference in the game. Like, there were a lot of other things that happened, but if he doesn't do those things, Texas doesn't win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Arch played great in the second half. I mean, it all kind of started with his willingness to take off and keep him honest with his legs. And then the huge defensive message, and this is from Molly McGrath, who had the report. The big message from Elko to his guys were, guys, we got to stop letting him scramble for big plays. We got to stop letting him scramble for runs or for first downs. So what did they end up doing? All the attention from the defensive backfield starts looking in the backfield, and they lose a guy behind them for the first touchdown of the game for the Horns. That was big, right? To Wingo in the back of the end zone. And once Wingo caught that, it's like Arch was a completely different guy. Like at that, and then now he's moving in the pocket. He's layering throws over defenders. He's getting the ball out quicker. He's anticipating throws over the middle. Like, it was like, goodness gracious alive. Like, this is the guy. This is him. It's like that scene in the Matrix when all of a sudden Neo starts to figure out that he's the dang man, and all of them are looking at it. Morpheus is looking at the screen. They're all looking at the screen. He's like, oh my goodness, he's the one. Like, that was it's like, what happened? It was one play that got him going, and then it was all she wrote. And dude, the run on the 35-yard touchdown was filthy. I mean, shaking 2 guys. These are really good linebackers. I thought the Texas A&M linebackers did not play well, which is not a good place to start. When your best defensive attributes are your pass rush with Cassius Howell, who was pretty quiet in the game. I thought the defensive tackles for A&M and the pass rush were probably more impactful. But they also, and we've been saying this since week 1 against UT San Antonio, how often is A&M's aggressiveness and the freedom that they give their defensive line, how often does it get them into a position in which they are unaccounting for gaps? How often does that happen? And it happened 4, maybe 5 times in this game. and all 4 or 5 times Texas found the appropriate hole. And that's a tough spot to start. So I expect a long study from Elko and his group defensively going into the playoffs, because against quality competition, you cannot have 2 guys in the same gap on defense. You cannot have free hitters that are not blocked come up and play the correct gap, and then the defensive lineman is freewheeling, and all of a sudden he's in the same gap as the free hitter. And they got to figure that out, because it happened 4 or 5 times in the game, and it just can't happen going forward.
I would agree. And we also talked about Marcel Reed and some of those inconsistencies, and we saw some of those show up in this game as well. 2 interceptions, 20 of 32, 180 yards. Did some nice things with his legs at times. But, boy, Greg, I thought his eyes came down quick in this game. I mean, I felt like he saw the rush really fast in this game.
Yep, he did. And I thought he got real jumpy. And I don't like how jumpy his feet get from time to time. It stresses me out. And I thought his eyes were not great. I thought things were moving a little fast for him. And Texas is good on defense now. Like, I think the whole narrative surrounding Texas's defensive regression was a little bit unfair. If you look at the game against Vanderbilt, there's a lot of garbage yardage at the end of the game. You look at the game against, you look at the points given up against Georgia, it was kind of a perfect storm. I mean, they get off the field on one of those 4th and 5s. It might be a completely different ball game in a game that's 14-10. Instead, they give up 2 4th down conversions. They get the onside kick. Now all of a sudden they're in a 28-10 hole. The offense goes 3 and out, short field, boom, Georgia's up 35-10 and it's over, right? So I think that the defensive assessment now I don't think they're great in the back end. I think they do a pretty good job in vision coverage. I think they are good, not great in the secondary. So I just think that the linebackers played really well, and that was without Anthony Hill. They were closing windows quickly, and I thought Reed saw a couple ghosts. It happens. I mean, goodness gracious, it happens. The guy had showed a lot of guts in coming back after injuring his left leg earlier in the game as well, and not having that impact him too significantly, because he was pretty accurate right after that. But after halftime, the pass rush started to get home. There were a couple free hitters on blitzes, and I think he was just uncomfortable. I mean, he was uncomfortable throughout most of the second half, and that's a tough place to start. The interception, the first interception, he had pressure in his face, but it didn't matter. Even if it was a clean pocket, that ball was getting picked by a push safety off the backside. The second interception, he never sees the corner. It's cover 2. It's standard cover 2. The corner drifts right out underneath a corner route in a flood concept. There's nothing holding the flat. You got to check that ball down. Like, I just think he got a little too aggressive and paid the price a couple times too. A couple predetermined decisions that I think cost him as well.
Yep. So Texas gets the win, 27-17. They're now 9-3, 6-2 in the SEC. Texas A&M 11-1, 7-1 in the SEC. How do we view Texas as it pertains to the college football playoff?
I don't think they're getting in. I think the loss to Florida is just a little too prohibitive. This is a weird year. Like, I think last year they'd have a real good argument, but this was a weird year where there's just a lot of good teams. There's a lot of teams in front of them that have pretty good resumes. There's a lot of teams in front of them that have pretty good records. Do I think Texas would be a huge problem in the playoff? Yes. Do I think they're one of the 10 best teams? Probably, yeah. On their best day, for sure. But is that going to be enough to get in? Probably not. I just think the field is a little too crowded this year. And unfortunately for them, chalk has flown in a lot of places. They needed a little bit of help, but Oregon winning, Alabama winning, Ole Miss winning, all those things kind of win. Miami winning convincingly, Notre Dame winning convincingly. The teams in front of them are just a little bit too secure for them to jump all the way into it. But I can tell you this, they got in, they would not be a team I'd want to play. I can promise you that much.
No. Texas is one of those teams we've talked about, Greg. Like, when they're going, they're going. And it was,
They're
'cause
going.
I was talking to Clark Lee about this before the game, and we were just talking different things about how that game probably helped them realize what they could be offensively. And because we were talking about that game, and I was like, I love this game because I don't know how this was going to go. And he just kind of laughed, and he was like, no, he's like, we've looked at it a lot of different ways. And I'm like, I could see this game being 14-10. I could see this game being 42-38. Like, I could see Vandy running away. I could see Tennessee running away. I didn't tell him all that, but that's kind of how I was thinking. And I was like, we were talking about the Texas game, and I was like, Coach, I went into that game, and I specifically said Texas edges versus Diego Pavia. And I'm like, if those edges get going, probably in trouble. And I said it with the skill guys all year. Like, if you let Weisner get going, it's going to be a long day. You let Wingo get going, it's going to be a long day. If you're tackling them, and they're not breaking tackles, they're not getting in the open field, it's not a lot of one-on-ones, you'll probably be able to survive it. But it's like once they land one of those haymakers, you're not going to be able to withstand too many more of them. And I feel like that's kind of what happened to A&M. And he kind of agreed. That was like, he goes, we knew if their edge defenders kind of got a beat on us and rattled us early and slowed us down as to how we were going to manage them, he's like, we knew it'd probably be a long day. And so I feel like on both sides of the ball now with Texas, you're right. If their strengths play into any of your weaknesses, it could be a really long day for you. And it just happened to be that against A&M, and ended up being a rough day. So A&M's still going to be in. Texas, most likely, I'm with you, going to be on the outside looking in. And you go back to the resume, you had your chances at the end of the day. You had opportunities.
No question you did. And they only have themselves to blame. They had their opportunities for sure. And look, a lot of teams are allowed a bad loss. You know what I mean? And I cannot get on board with the, we played. I mean, they had a chance in the Georgia game. Like, they had a chance, and they couldn't capitalize. Georgia made the plays in the fourth quarter and pulled away. But here's the other thing. I don't trust the committee enough to really watch. Like, I don't know if the committee's going to go back and just grind on the tape of Vandy, Texas, and see just how convincing that victory was in favor of Texas. I don't think they're going to go back and watch the tape of Georgia, Texas, and say, man, that was a lot closer than you realize. I definitely don't expect them to go back and watch the Ohio State game, a game in which Texas outgained them by 130-plus yards and had 2 fourth down stopped inside the 5-yard line. They're not going to go back and watch that and say, golly, no one played Ohio State better. I don't think they're going to do that. I think the committee will look at the 3 losses and they'll say, well, you shouldn't have lost to Florida. You got beat by 25 to Georgia, and you lost to Ohio State. And that's ultimately going to be what got you. So great resume, a lot of great moments, but a lot of disappointing moments as well. And that's why I think they'll be on the outside looking in. But I don't think it's as much about them. I think it's more about the teams in front of them looking less flawed. That's what I think is hurting them the most. I think Texas, on their own merits, feel pretty good about where they're at, who they are, what they've done. But the teams in front of them have had fewer examples in which they've stubbed their toe. And that, I think, is what ultimately will kind of keep them out.
All right, more on the college football playoff, more on rivalry weekend. I just mentioned the game that I was on. We'll reference that. Did Diego Pavia get himself to New York? We'll have that discussion. A lot more to get to right here on Jocks. First, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you, and it's easy how they can do it. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com now. Sign up for the free consultation. With that free consultation, you get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. They'll weigh you in, get your blood pressure, tell you where your baseline health is, then present the options that they have. Peptides, weight loss programs, a lot of different ways that they can just make you feel better. Open now in Trustville, offices in Tuscaloosa and Auburn, as well as there in Birmingham. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. Why would you not? Just see where you're at. And if you ate as much strawberry pretzel salad over the Thanksgiving holidays as I did, you might need to go in there and get checked out. Holistic approach to health and wellness. Let them know what they can do for you at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. When we come back, more on Rivalry Weekend next on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:39 Monday, December 1st, right here on Jocks. We will move from football to basketball for just a moment. Before we move to that, if you're looking to move out of your home, Greg, who do you need to call?
Be Crocker Moving Services are a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home, and they need your whole home packed up and moved. Your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, they got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
Richard Hendricks joins us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Pizza Pulls. You can find them on fanaticslive.com. You can find them on Whatnot as well. If you're looking to get into breaking cards, the new Prism football draft is out. Also, Bowman Chrome U football out. You can go check that now at pizzapulls.com. All right, Richard Hendricks with us on the Higginbotham hotline. Have you ever referenced Alabama and Auburn playing on the basketball court as the Iron Bowl?
Maybe once or twice. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I just jumped on the bandwagon everybody else. But the Iron Bowl is definitely a football thing. But
God, that's why you join us. That's why you're on the show. It's okay. You made a mistake once or twice, but you know what? You self-scouted and you got it corrected, and that's all that matters. We're good moving forward.
You know how it is. Sometimes when you say something on the call or whatever, and when it's over, you kind of cringe a little after. That's what I really said, but I tell you, I mean, nonetheless, it's always when you get those two teams together, it doesn't matter what you play. It's going to be it's going to mean a little bit more, but we all know in the football, it definitely means a lot to more people.
There's no doubt. Last time we talked to you, Alabama was coming off a pretty big win and had been pretty impressive on the court. Then they get Maryland 105-72. So offense staying hot. Well, what have you seen maybe a little bit different this time out than what you had seen in some of those previous matchups we discussed with you?
Well, I think it's what we've seen from Alabama early on. You get a team where the guards are playing high-level basketball, they can beat anyone. But if they play against another team that can definitely neutralize those guards, then Alabama is going to struggle. And quite frankly, I don't know if this is necessarily a thing that's only with Alabama. I think last season, when you look at the SEC, when you had 14 teams in the NCAA tournament, in the non-conference, they won almost 90% of their games against the field. I think people are seeing that this year the SEC is in a little bit different situation. Not as dominant as they were a year ago against the other power conferences. And I think with the ACC-SEC challenge coming up, I think this is a big opportunity right now where all eyes are really on football with the college football playoffs and with the SEC championship going on. It's an opportunity for the SEC to score some major wins that can be significant moving forward to the NCAA tournament. And Alabama is going to have to do so when they play Clemson on Wednesday night.
What do you attribute to some of the challenges that the SEC has had in the non-conference so far? It's a stark contrast from last year. So what do you think the problem is?
Well, I think first off, you have to acknowledge that last year was a special season. Every team in the SEC, for whatever reason, bolstered up their roster. I think they had veteran players. I mean, you look at Alabama and Auburn here in state. You have Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, Clifford Amore, who had played so many years, Chris Youngblood. You had a roster of 5, 6, 7 guys with college basketball experience that, I mean, you're almost 23 years old. You take Auburn the same way. Janai Broome, Baker Mazzara. These are players who have so much experience. So the SEC was older last year with continuity. I think when you have a lot of newcomers on teams, they're trying to figure out who they are. I think there's also much more of a target on the back of these SEC teams compared to last season, or when teams are playing them in big games in these neutral sites. They know that it really means something, and it takes time for these teams to kind of gel when you have the new rosters. But I think when you look at it, last season, the SEC was 185-23 in the non-conference. And this season already, and you're halfway through the non-conference slate, they're 92-26. So you've already had more losses in the non-conference than you had all of last season. And I do think it's because the other leagues are looking at the SEC, and there's a big target on their back.
Richard Hendricks joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Pizza Pulls. You can find them on Fanatics Live and whatnot, pizzapulls.com, each and every Monday. I want to step outside of the SEC for just a moment. I do want to come back and talk Auburn in a second. But is there anything right now in college basketball that comes close to what Michigan is? I mean, we saw them dismantle Auburn, completely dismantle Gonzaga after dismantling San Diego State and Middle Tennessee. Like how? And listen, everybody here in this town is familiar with Yoxel Lindenborg. We know how great he is, but how much further ahead is this team potentially than everybody else right now?
I mean, it's unreal. I mean, what they have been able to do. I mean, it looks almost like a video game. They have unbelievable size. I mean, they're able to play Yoxel Lindenborg at the point forward position at 6'9", 235 pounds. He's bringing the ball up the court and facilitating. And I'm telling you, I mean, I saw it firsthand with several UAB games last year, so I know how good the kid is. But he's taking his game to another level. And, I mean, they just look like an unbeatable team at the moment with their size and their outside shooting and their poise in which they can come back and play on these quick turnaround games in these multi-team events that they're playing right now during the holiday season. So tough basketball played right now, but Michigan is definitely looking like the class of college basketball.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's crazy how for example, you look at Michigan, amazing. But you look at teams that you have such high hopes for coming into the year, St. John's, Florida, all these other teams, and yet they're just collapsing upon themselves. Like, at what point do you need to be kind of trending in the right direction? Like, I'm not panicked in November. I'm not panicked in December. But come January, you better be rolling. And I don't know right now, like, who are teams that can get things figured out that have maybe gotten off to a slow start?
Well, as you mentioned, of course, every coach is going to say you want your team to be playing their best basketball moving into the conference tournament and then moving into the NCAA tournament. But when you're dropping these huge opportunities in the non-conference in marquee matchups, then those signature wins that really impacts your net ranking and impacts your seeding moving forward are critical to take advantage of. I think that the SEC has to make sure that they get more of those games. But if you look at a top team right now who came in, obviously, with so much respect, but a Michigan State, you beat Kentucky. You also beat Arkansas. I mean, they're looking like a team that's definitely the real deal. And you talk about, obviously, their rival with Michigan. I like to look at the top of those two teams in that particular state. They look very, very strong, as well as another one I would add would be Arizona as well. With Koa Pete, they got a freshman. I mean, he's a load. He's about 6'9", 6'10", 250 pounds. He moves well. He can score down low. I mean, he's got a little bit of a throwback game. But those teams right there, I say they look really special, just to name a couple.
Pete, big time for Arizona. Obviously got off to a pretty good start this year. I'm glad you brought up Arizona because we're going to learn a lot more about this Auburn basketball team here in the next 2 weeks. They got NC State this week. That's a top 25 team. Arizona, a top 5 team. And then number 1, Purdue. What's going to happen for Coach Pearl's team to have some success against that many ranked opponents, 3 of the next 4?
Wow, I mean, we talked about how they've been able to show some flashes. You take Houston down to the last possession. You beat Oregon. Stephen Pearl has shown that he's been able to do it. Now it's just a matter of can you become consistent and develop that chemistry. I mean, but listen, their schedule is not going to get any easier. But to the degree, when you challenge yourself with the tough losses or the tough teams, even if you pick up a loss against a really high caliber team, it doesn't hurt you as far as seeding and the net rankings are concerned and moving forward. So there is a formula that a lot of teams have understand how to do, and it's to challenge yourself against tough teams. But for the team morale standpoint and moving into conference, you need to pick up a win against one of these signature teams.
Did you also think against Oregon that sort of Tahad Pettiford takeover game? Do they need to be more of that moving forward? Does that need to be more of the personality of the team the rest of the way through?
Well, I think any team that's going to be championship caliber, as you guys know, you have to have balance. There has to be some type of level of complementary style of basketball from the defensive end to the offensive end, from the interior play and the outside play. I would look at Auburn and Tahad Pettiford and what he was able to do when he goes off in that game. And I would compare it the same with Alabama with LeBaron Philon. You can have a player, particularly at the guard, who can carry you and win a game. But I don't know if that is the recipe to carry a team throughout the entire season. You have to get some production and some balance, because when teams scout and they load up and try to take that one weapon away, then it really, really changes the dynamic of your team. So Auburn's got to find some balance. Obviously, you have Keyshawn Hall, who's a tremendous scorer, but they're going to have to find it to be as balanced as they were like they were last year. And that's what really made them one of the top teams in the country.
Richard, we always appreciate the time, man. Thanks for hopping on. Look forward to catch up with you next week.
Thank you so much. Hey, and you got to tell me, what's this strawberry casserole Thanksgiving? I've never heard of this.
Strawberry pretzel salad. It's a side, not a dessert.
It's a salad.
It is unbelievable. I don't know how to tell you where to find some, but you need to find some.
It's cultural too.
Greg can attest. It is incredible.
It's solid. It's basically like candied pretzels, strawberry jam, and cream cheese. It's legit.
And that's a side? You're eating that on the side of the turkey and everything else?
Oh, yeah.
It's a side dessert. It's one of those you'd only eat it on Thanksgiving as a side. Any other time of the year would be a dessert.
I hear you guys. I hear you. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to get ahead to the next Thanksgiving.
You got to get it. I'll get you the recipe, Richard.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for hopping on, man. Richard Hendricks joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Pizza Pulls. If you're going to get into the hobby, you want to get into Prism Draft, you want to get a Bowman Chrome U, go to Pizza Pulls on Fanatics Live or whatnot and search pizzapulls.com. All right, we got a lot more to get to from Rivalry Weekend when we come back next right here on Jocks. A really interesting name being tossed around for the Kentucky job, Greg. What would you say if I told you that Chip Kelly's name has been brought up as a potential replacement in Lexington?
I had not heard that, but that's awesome.
That's
I love
that's
Chip.
per Pro Football Talk is throwing that name in the mix.
Okay.
The only name that I've heard that I
I'm
feel like
great with
has
it.
any reality to it's Will Stein. That's like the only one that I've heard that I feel like seems to be possible or real. But Chip Kelly, if he wants to get back into the college game, get into the SEC.
It'd bring some gravitas. He's not a guy that's ever really loved recruiting. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
I don't know. Is he going to want to recruit in
we'll see.
the deepest pool in the country? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, Gusty Ghouls can recruit people to your home listing. They've served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. That's why they can get rid of your real estate, and they can get you onto any real estate that's going to be coming available. Over 850 5-star Google reviews. Call 205-542-1996, brokered by eXp Realty. Google Gusty Ghouls Group. See for yourself. Go to GustyGhoulsGroup.com today. Find out what they can do for you. 205-542-1996, or go to GustyGhoulsGroup.com. Great show today. Paul Feinbaum, Tyler Watts, Steve Wiltfong. We'll get back into Rivalry Week tomorrow. College football playoff rankings show out tomorrow night. We'll discuss that with you and a lot more. 7 to 10 a.m. But first, three-man front is coming up next right here on Jocks.